Dr. Katie Ralston is with us this morning, the superintendent of Silver Creek Central School District. Now, where is that, Katie? That's over in New York.
Sure. Yep. Western New York. Yeah, just south of Buffalo, New York.
Man, it's so cool that you're here. Thank you so much.
I'm so
So,
happy to be here. Thanks
yeah.
for having me.
So south of Buffalo, that's over there. That's over there some.
It is.
All right, you guys get the real snow.
We sure do.
You get all that lake effect stuff.
We're in it right now.
I'm sure you are. We got, I've seen 1 to 3, but 3 to 5, I think, for the most part today. Some slick road schools. There's plenty that are closed, but there's also plenty that are open. So it depends on where you are. Just regardless, drive carefully. And
Thank you.
as a superintendent, I think you would say kudos to the school bus drivers, especially on days like this.
Oh my gosh. I say it all the time. They are responsible for carrying our most precious cargo, right? We wouldn't have school
Yeah.
without them doing their jobs. Our students wouldn't be able to get to extracurricular activities or their sporting events or anything without our bus drivers.
Yeah.
Our transportation department deserves all the shout outs. That's for sure.
Big time. And here's the thing. Even if I was first of all, I'd never be a bus driver because I couldn't reach the pedals. But if I were, and it was somewhere where it was warm and never snowing, I would still be nervous about the level of responsibility of driving a 30-foot plus bus loaded up with kids. And then throw some snow in the mix. I mean,
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, certainly a job.
We have a lot to talk about this morning. First of all, Tom Murphy, our superhero, along with the rest of his team at Sweethearts and Heroes. Man, this guy is he just speaks so highly of you.
Thank you. That's sweet.
I mean, for the last 2 weeks, he's been sending me emails. Wait till you have Dr. Katie Ralston on you. That's the real deal right there. That's the big time player. Wow.
Thank you.
How did you meet? First of all, how many schools are you the superintendent of?
Sure. So Silver Creek School District, we have an elementary, middle, and a high school, all connected on one campus. So it's a large building. All three of our buildings connect, although they each have their own designated area. Which is the superintendent I love because I can go out of my office and turn left and go to the elementary school. I can turn right and go to the high school. I can turn right and then left and go to the middle school. And so I love that we're all connected because you can be with anyone, any part of the day, all the time. So yeah, we're lucky for that.
How many kids are we talking about? About roughly?
Just under 1,000.
Okay. Whew. Wow, that's a lot.
It's wonderful.
You have been referred to as a staunch supporter of Sweethearts and Heroes. Tell me how you met Tom and how you said, as a superintendent, gotta have these guys here.
Sure. So I guess first, when you say staunch supporter, I would say I feel like that doesn't even do it justice, right? I believe in all that Sweethearts and Heroes is. So it's not even just that I support them. It's like I feel like I live their mission and their message and connected with that the first time I ever saw them present. So actually it was 2009. I was my first year as a teacher. I went to the New York State Middle School Conference, and it was very early in the Sweethearts and Heroes career, right? I saw them present and thought, there is a certain it factor that they have that I think you need to have when you're sending a certain message, especially to middle and high school students. But the it factor existed because A, of who they are as people, but B, how deeply rooted their message and their belief is in who they are as people. So they're not selling a product, they're living a life and sharing that. And that makes all the difference. So as a teacher, I was wowed. When I became a middle school principal, I was like, I just feel very strongly that middle school especially is the point where students truly connect to school or they don't. So I feel like in middle school, you have to do a lot of extra work to make sure you're connecting with students and making school the place that they want to be and they feel safe to be. And so that was one of my very first initiatives as a principal. 2015 was Sweethearts and Heroes. And I saw the work that they did. I was at Cuba Rushford at that time and saw their impact, not only with our students, but with our staff and honestly on my own leadership. Like it changed the way I interacted with students who, had to have certain consequences. It changed the way I interacted with people who were having conflict. It changed the way I interacted with families. Which just only deepened my belief in everything that they do and everything that they are. And so I think it was very early in my principalship that I said, Sweethearts and Heroes is a non-negotiable for me in my leadership. And so anywhere that I go, so will they. I hope Tom heard that. He doesn't really have an option. He's coming with me wherever I go.
Tom did hear that, number one. Number two, he is most certainly listening right now.
Awesome.
And we did get a soundbite out of that because you said not selling a product, living a life. That's what a line that is. I mean, that is it right there. You hit the nail on the head.
Well, and it's the truth, right? It's I became a superintendent, said this is something I'm bringing here to help build a culture, and it's an organization I will put my name to. And I think it's in any leadership role, you have to be careful where you're putting your name or who you're endorsing, or because it's your own reputation as well, and it's your own credibility. And that was one Sweethearts as Heroes is coming with me to Silver Creek, and they came, and I preached it before they got here. I've never worked with anyone better. I've never seen a stronger impact. And we brought them here 2 years ago, and they continue to be in our school. And, just a couple weeks ago, we had a student death, a very traumatic district tragedy. And aside from the phone calls I had to make, which are never phone calls you want to make, I made the phone call I wanted to make, and that was to Tom. And I said, we need your help. And there was just no question asked. And here he was. He and Rick showed up. And that's how you know they're living the life. It wasn't like, let me check my calendar. Let me see what we can do. Let's talk price. It was like, of course, here we come. We're on our way. And I know that's not because it was me that called. It's because of what we needed them for. And that's how they live.
These guys literally are superheroes. They embody it.
Yeah.
They know what needs to be done. I think they also know, Katie, that they're not going to fix everything. They're not going to come into any school and wave a magic wand. They can come in and do their best with what they have and give that school and give the administration the tools to try to sustain their message. But man, they're relying on your administration. They're relying on the adults, but they're also relying on the kids to listen, to pay attention, and to really take into heart what it is that they're saying, and to carry that through the day, and to be better students, be kinder, recognize the difference between poking around, having fun, being immature, and bullying. And there's such a fine line, man, between the two. And we talk about that all the time on Wednesdays.
Right. You said something interesting there. You said like they realize they're not going to fix something when they come into a school. And I personally have a little bit of a theory on that. There are people, I am one of these people who are fixers, right? You see something and you're like, okay, that's a problem. I have to fix it. That's an issue. I have to pay attention to it. But I also don't love that. I love when people recognize, like, I'm not here to fix it. I'm here to help it. Because to me, when you fix something, there's then a finality to it. Like, okay, it's fixed. I'm moving on. What's my next project? That's fixed. Where am I going next? And there's always going to be something to work on and improve. But the way you make a difference is by recognizing we have to build and we have to grow and we have to improve. And that never ends. You should always be building. You should always be growing. You should always be improving. And when you have that focus, there isn't a checklist to complete, right? It's not like, okay, fix that, fixed you, moving on. It's recognizing like the lesson and the opportunity in every single challenge and in every single thing that presents itself. And that becomes part of the conversation when you're talking with people about, what's the difference between like innocent banter and bullying, and when do you cross that line, and how do you let people know you're approaching that line before it's like, all right, I've had enough and I'm going to snap, right? And that's one of the things that I really love also about Sweethearts and Heroes that really stuck with me from the very beginning was not, okay, we're here to address the bully and stop bullying. We're here to build a culture of sweethearts and heroes. We're here to build a place where we all talk openly and honestly, even when it's difficult, even when it hurts, because that makes it better the next day. That makes it easier the next week. That makes our place the place people want to be.
Sure.
And I think that's, that there's just such a focus to that it's not fixing the problem. It's building a culture. It's building a family and a team.
Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, once you get sweethearts and heroes into your school, you can't get them out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I mean, I can't tell you countless interviews that I've had with other administrators and superintendents as well, and they all say the same thing. They're like, man, once you get bitten by the sweethearts and heroes bug, it's something that's permanent within the school, and it's something that's permanent in the minds of these kids, not just while they're at school, but they're carrying this stuff into their lives. I mean, kids that are graduating from high school want to continue to take these tools and stay active in their community and utilize what they've learned. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is awesome. And that's the thing, right? When you say like, once you get them in, you can't get them out. And if you get bitten by the bug and you don't stick with it, you're missing something, right? Because there is a certain reflection that comes with every single conversation that happens in this. And it's not just like, oh, we're devoting this time and this money and these finances and schedules. It's not just that we're devoting that to addressing bullying. It's like we are building better humans, and not only how people interact with each other, but how you're talking to yourself, how you're like self-reflecting and growing on your own as well. And again, the it factor that comes with that, right? Tom, Pat, Josiah, Rick, like they know how to do that. They come in and connect with kids on a level that kids walk out thinking, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit better today.
Yeah. Far
I'm
beyond.
Try that.
Exactly. Far beyond the walls of your school, and far beyond the confines of inside that classroom. And that's the big thing, man. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways, I think, anyway, for Sweethearts and Heroes. Tom is commenting here saying, she has taught me more than any other educator I have ever met. Tom just dropped that message in the comments.
Wow.
And he means it too. I mean, he was drilling that into my head all last week. I'm like, Tom, you've already said that to me 15 times, Bob. I mean, he really he's got you on a pretty high pedestal, and I know that the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, right, Tom has also let me teach him a lot, and that's a tough spot sometimes to allow yourself to get to, is like, whoa, there's going to be something I'm about to hear that might be a little difficult to hear, or,
Right.
something that's going to push me to where no one else has pushed me before. Um, and you have to be like ready to hear that and ready to learn from that, to grow. And I've been fortunate to be friends with Tom for so long, professionally and personally, because the message and the work behind it all is so personal. And people always say, like, you have to be able to separate your personal life and your professional life, and to an extent that's true. But you need to be who you are in the same situation with anyone, regardless of your position, personally or professionally. And that's how you grow as a person. That's how you learn from everybody in your life. And I really admire that about Tom. He knows that there are people he can learn from, and he's willing to do it.
Yeah. It's also, and let's be honest here, it's very difficult getting a word in edgewise sometime with Tom Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
Understatement?
Sometimes I do this. Tom?
Yeah.
Just a second. Or I say, okay, Tom, when you're ready, I'll respond. Oh,
Yeah.
no. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm ready.
Yeah. And then when he's listening, the wheels are turning. You can see
Yeah,
it.
you know how?
Behind those eyeballs. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's listening. The guy listens.
Yes, he does.
There's so many comments here that you're one of the biggest self-reflectors, that you're actually too hard on yourself. Also that you can see it in your staff. Your staff loves you. We have a comment here saying, I've seen it her entire life, a little girl holding a classroom in her home. It has been amazing to watch her grow from that little 5-year-old girl teacher to the best superintendent ever. You know
gosh.
You know who wrote that, right? Would have to be Andrea. Come on.
Oh my gosh, Andrea. Wow. Yeah. That means a lot. But yeah, it's true. I mean, I spent my life in my basement teaching in a classroom. I always make the joke, my brothers were my first students, and they prepared me well, because they were certainly not easy students.
The thing about Tom is, and Rick too, they actually love going into in-school suspension.
Oh yeah.
They like that.
Yep.
That's where some of the most interesting kids are. And Tom always says, and I know you've heard this, that everybody's got a story, and it's not to sound too cliche here, but because I've had this discussion with my 11-year-old little girl, but it's like everybody's story is literally like a snowflake. We were laying out in the yard during the last storm there last Tuesday, and the snowflakes were coming down, and they were falling on our jackets, which are black.
I love that.
And we were just fascinated by looking at these snowflakes. And I had this conversation with Loudon the other day. I think it was Loudon. There's so many sweethearts and heroes people that have been on the air, and we were talking about every snowflake is different and unique, and that's like our story, man. It's like every single one of us has unique experience, unique circumstances that we can bring to teach others, to give insight, and not just walk around with a label on us of, I'm the troublemaker, or I'm the one that gets in trouble all the time at school. I'm the one that's in suspension all the time. We all have different reasons for how we act, what we bring through those doors, what we carry with us when we step onto that school bus in the morning. We're all different, man. And that's it's a gift. Right,
absolutely. Like, how boring would this place be if we didn't have everybody's stories, right? In school suspension, I mean, they love going to it too, because that's also an opportunity. I always felt, especially as a principal, that's where you have the chance to truly grow someone or to truly learn about someone as well, right? And that's like, of course, consequences have to come with behavior and actions, but it's you mentioned it, like you learn their story, and the opportunity that you have in that moment is to help the student recognize this instance today is not your story. This is not who you are. This is a
Mm,
part of your story, right?
mm,
And someday might be a really funny part of your story,
yeah.
like a really impactful part of your story, And it's always just taking the time to learn that. Like one of the questions I always used to ask students, and it's kind of catches them off guard when they would do something, as a principal, talk through it with them, and then I would say, okay, so could you have done something worse? And they're like, what? Like, could you have done something worse? And they say, like, yeah, I could have done something worse. Okay, well, why didn't you? And they are able to say all the reasons they wouldn't have done something worse. And then it's like, okay, so next time, what if this was the worst thing? What's the step before that? Like, how do and you help them grow through that instead of like, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? It's, oh, why didn't you do it worse? Well, because I wouldn't do that. Right. So you have that discretion. Next time we're taking that a different, one step earlier.
Yeah. New York State Sprint Principal of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Tom did say you were a little humble. That's pretty amazing, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was an honor for sure.
Tell me about your life, though. Like, you got your doctorate. What's the deal?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like grabbing life by the horns here.
Yeah, I love to live life, right? I call it live out loud. Um, I guess first, yeah, I've always said I'm really, really fortunate that from literally before I even went to school, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. Uh, and that I never swayed from that. Now, I never, I wasn't 7 years old saying I want to be a principal. I wasn't 12-year-old saying I hope I'm principal of the year or I want to be a superintendent but I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And part of that is also because I love learning. And as far as my doctorate, I feel like I continued for my doctorate. There's a personal reason to that too, which I'll share. But I've always felt like I do my best work when I'm learning. And so I'm always pushing myself to learn more. So I love learning and I feel like I do better work when I am learning. And so if I want to be the best leader a place has, then I'm going to keep learning while I'm doing it. Right. And, I say like, who knows? I'm not saying I'll ever be like the best superintendent there was or the best principal there was, but I know that I did my best in that position. And I do that as I continue learning and applying things and failing and realizing what doesn't work. And I'm not afraid to say like, okay, that didn't work. Maybe that kind of comes with the being really hard on myself sometimes. Um, but it's the reflection, it's the, willingness to adjust and change along the way. And I feel like that's something I learned, I would say, from my mother, who kind of reminded me as often as she could, like, Katie doesn't always get to pick the way the life goes. Like, but Katie can respond. Katie can choose how she responds to it. Katie can choose how she grows through it. And so I've always stuck with that. My doctorate, yeah, I felt like I don't know, once I got my master's and I kept going to school, it wasn't like I'm getting my doctorate because I'm aiming for a certain position or I'm getting my doctorate because I want a certain status or expectation. I just wanted to keep learning, and that was the degree that came with it. Vanderbilt was really special to me. That's where I got my doctorate because when I was a teacher, my mom at the time was an office manager at a local community college, a business college. And she had seen a pamphlet for like a summer teacher program at Vanderbilt. And she said to me, like, Katie, wouldn't it be amazing for you to be able to say you studied at Vanderbilt? And I said, why? And she said, they're They've been number one in the country for education for years. It would be amazing. And at the time, I couldn't do the program because New York State goes to school almost the entire summer. And Tennessee, their summer program starts when we're still in school. So I could never do that. Uh, and so I just kind of let that go. And then when my mom died, I became principal that same, I mean, within a month. And when I first became principal, I knew I couldn't handle a doctorate. Like I couldn't, that was my learning every single day, was figuring out that position and how to do it well. And so when I decided I was ready, I Googled hybrid, like online and in person doctoral programs. And it was like the first headline that came up was Vanderbilt announces first year of hybrid education, doctor of education program.
Wow.
And I like had this moment of like, whoa, that's a little too serendipitous, right? So I changed the Google search, like that can't be it. So I typed in something completely different, and that was the first one that came up again. And I typed a third one, and it came up again. And so I was like, well, I'll apply. I mean, they're top in the nation. I don't know that I would get in for that, but I'll apply and see. And then I got into Vanderbilt, and I felt like that was a message, the seed that was planted in my head a lot of years before, without knowing where that would go. And definitely the most challenging program I've ever completed again. My doctorate was the hardest thing I've ever done. Very proud of it. Can't say that I would ever do it again, but I don't regret doing it.
I am going to be asking you about COVID and how you got through that. But
Sure.
first, though, did you ever get in trouble in school?
Wow. Like, did I ever get in trouble? Well, I mean, when I was in preschool, I tried to kiss a boy and he fell off his chair. I got in trouble for that. I think I was 4.
Yeah.
I also tried to, like, this was also in preschool. I got my trouble out of the way early, I guess. My Nana used to cut apple slices and slide the apple off her knife to eat it. And so we were at a table as preschoolers. We had plastic knives, a little cup of peanut butter, and apple slices. And we were supposed to put the peanut butter on the apple slice with the plastic knife. But I tried to be like my Nana. So I picked up the apple slice with the knife, but put the whole thing in my mouth. And I got removed from the table because you can't put a knife in your mouth. And also in preschool, I told my teacher her clothes don't match.
Ooh.
So that was kind of it, though. In 5th grade, I thought I was going to get in trouble. It was recess. We came back from lunch. We went into recess. Our teacher wasn't in the classroom. We didn't have anyone in there to supervise. So I was like, I have to do something about this. So I stood on a desk to tell everyone what stations they were going to for recess.
You're just trying to help.
Well, exactly.
Right.
And someone on the other side of the room like pointed at the door, and I turned around, and Mr. Baker, who's our principal, was leaning against the door. And so I went to step back down, and he said, "No, please, Miss Ralston, continue. You'll probably be a principal someday." And right, I call that an emotional punctuation mark. That was a moment that I didn't know was a moment, but I never forgot it, and was probably a pretty transformational moment for me without knowing it. But his response, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
And now that I'm a superintendent, I make the joke that I realized the substitute shortage. So when he walked in a room, he was just like, good, this is taken care of.
Yeah.
Got to move on to the next room.
Right. Exactly. Let's not waste any time.
Right.
But in high school, though, middle school, high school, you never got busted for something?
Yeah,
You know you did.
no, I'm really trying to think about it. Like, honestly, I'm a pretty honest person. So even when I was like, man, I think I might get in trouble for this, I would tell my parents. Sometimes my brothers would say like, Katie, why are you asking permission for that?
Yeah.
Or why are you,
Ask forgiveness.
But yeah, I guess still am like, just didn't want to upset people, didn't want to be the reason someone had stress or whatever, right? So I remember being a senior, everyone was talking about senior skip day. And I was like, Mom, it's just going to be easier if we talk about this. I think I'm going to go to senior skip day. And she was like, No, you're not. And I was like, Oh, I'm not. And then I didn't go.
Oh my God. Really?
See, that's how my brother responded.
Um, yeah, I did all kinds of things, but
Yeah, I guess also though, I would say my mom was really good at like, if she knew you were thinking about something or knew you did something, she would just have this way of mentioning it. So then you would tell her. Like, for example, I wanted to drive before I had a license. And so it was actually my brother's girlfriend at the time let me drive her car. And my mom knew it. And so the way my mom told me is she said, like, do you know what my secretary told me today? She thought she saw you driving in the Kmart parking lot, like a little blue car. And I told her that wouldn't be Katie. She doesn't have her license. And I said, I wasn't driving in the Kmart parking lot. I was in North Olean. And she was like, oh, really? And there it was. So
busted.
yeah. So I kind of told on myself, I guess. But no, like in school, I never got detention. I never
Oh,
had to stay after school. I used to ask to stay after school because I wanted to play school on the chalkboard.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking
I
about
did talk a lot. I sometimes would talk too much in class.
what about this kid that wrote on the bathroom wall? Tom is saying I should ask you about this.
Tom loves that story. Yeah, so when I was principal, I had these I would think they were called undercover sweethearts. And so I would select students, no one knew who they were, right? And I told them you're undercover because sometimes when we make a difference, it's not about that being loud and on display. It's about you being the person behind the scenes that changes something a little bit for someone. And so they were the students who kind of helped them. Like, what do you notice in the hallway? How do you step in? What do you notice, when someone's struggling? How do you advocate for them? And so there was something written on the bathroom wall, something bad about another student. We'll just go with like, Tom is a loser. And Tom's really offended right now, I bet. But
Of course he is.
so said that, right? And then someone said like, Miss Ralston, you have to see what's on the bathroom wall. So I went in the bathroom wall and Tom is a loser was crossed out. And it was like, Tom is not a loser. He's really cool with a lot of friends, Evan.
Ooh.
And like Evan signed his name on the bottom. And so I like
Ooh.
brought Evan in and I was like, do you know why I have you in here? He's like, the bathroom wall. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, that's what I should do, right? And it was awesome. Cause I said, like, I didn't really picture you doing that on the bathroom wall.
He
but
put his name to it.
oh yeah. Crossed it out. What you wrote is not true. This is actually the truth, and I'm the one that's saying it.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was awesome because also, right? Then everyone was like, whoa, what's Evan saying? Okay, like we're leaving Tom alone,
Heads up, I'm going to ask you about cell phones, but first, what was it like during COVID? What was that like for you? What was that like for your staff? How did you keep 1,000 kids connected?
Sure. So I was not a superintendent during that time. I came to Silver Creek after COVID, 2023. I came to Silver Creek, but I was a principal and I actually was our district COVID coordinator. So I did come up with the plans for that. And really we were able to get through COVID because of the relationships and connections we built before. So we'll start with the students. It was probably 2 years prior to COVID. I put in place the Trusted Adult program. And that was, like 7 to 10 weeks into school, 7 to 9 weeks into school, I would say. You ask every single student to name their top 3 trusted adults. And then I spent 2 weeks, 6 through 12 at the time, sorting through every single student and assigning a student to one of the 3 adults that they selected. And so then the adults, no adult had a list more than 10, and they were called their allies. And so the adults got that list. They connected with the students regularly. It was a way to make sure every single student in our school had a person they could name. And we would make sure that every single student had a connection somehow. And that really worked to our favor when COVID happened because the lists were already divvied, right? So on a regular basis, the trusted adult was calling their 10 students or checking in with their 10 students to ensure that everything was okay or see what they needed. And then we just came together as many schools did. Like, what do we need to do for meals? How do we need to get work to these students? How do we make sure that they're having some sort of interaction? And then as a principal, I felt like an important part was also keeping the staff connected. So we did like virtual happy hours. We did virtual in happy hour, not in the sense of like, let's have a drink, but a happy hour as in what, an hour of what has made you happy this week. And that was really important because the longer COVID went on, it became harder and harder for people to identify what made them happy that week. But this was something that made them think about it. During that time, my co-principal and I started this practice with each other. That was like the end of every week, we had to say 3 highlights to each other, like to each other and about each other. Like these were 3 things that stood out as a highlight this week for me and 3 things I watched you do that I think are a highlight for you. And so the important part there is just recognizing the good, regardless of what's happening in the world around you.
You're making me think of 13 Pillows. What a book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What about, how is this whole thing going with cell phones in your school district? Are they allowed in?
They're allowed in. They are not allowed to be used. So students come in, their cell phones go to their locker by first period, and they come out at the end of the day, and we don't have an issue. We've actually had students say how much they like it, how much they feel more like themselves, how much they're interacting more, they're more attentive. And I have a theory that the cell phone ban is connected to our increased attendance too. We had a very strong initiative this year to focus on attendance and get our kids to school. And so we spent the summer creating an entire plan for that. And the cell phones were not something that I accounted for in that, but I do think it contributes because what used to be a social life here didn't matter if you were in school or not, because if I wasn't in school, you're still Snapchatting me throughout the day or texting me or telling me what happened or sending me a video. But if I'm not in school now, I'm missing out on that. And you're not telling me in the moment because you don't have your phone in the moment. So I better be in the moment with you.
Wow.
And it's pretty special. It's not been the trouble that people, I think, were worried it would be.
The war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, it's refreshing to hear about so many parents who have seen the light and maybe at first, listen, we all know that really none of us love change. It's the unknown. Right. And sometimes our knee-jerk reaction is to push back because we don't know. And we can quickly come up with reasons of defense. But until you test the waters and see what the results are, you're not going to know.
Right.
And it seems like things are going well.
Oh my gosh, things are going very well. Yeah.
You get the question, and I know you do, and so is Tom, because he's told me, and we just got the question here in the comments. What if there's an incident at the school? What do you say to parents who say, yeah, but I want my kid to be connected with me if there's an emergency at the school?
Mm-hmm. So first, on a day-to-day emergency, they are going to be able to connect with you the same way I connected with my mom when I was at IJN, right? You go to the main office, you make a phone call. there's always there, we're always going to help you connect with your kids. And then in the, in the instance of what if something happens at school, that's like, we are here to keep your kids safe, and we will make sure they are safe.
Yeah.
And them actually, there is all the research to that too, that says like when all the cell phones come out during an incident, that causes delays in communication with law enforcement, that causes delays in communication throughout the district as well. So it's actually safer to allow us to handle the situation as it's unfolding.
You have taken your whole school district has taken a pretty hard hit lately with the recent passing of a student who committed suicide the day before Thanksgiving. Am I right with that? The day
No,
before?
I was the Sunday before
Sunday
Thanksgiving.
before. A senior?
Yes.
I mean, I would love to ask you how you and your staff and how Sweethearts and Heroes have responded to that.
Yeah. It's a tough question, because I honestly, like, of course we responded. I don't even know how to put it into words, because the first response when I get that phone call is just like this different level of pain as a leader. Because you feel that for our students who shouldn't have to feel this. You feel it for the friends who will never be the same after this. They will be okay, but they will never be the same, right? And they're learning that really early in their life, because you are never the same after you lose someone you love. But I will say, words cannot describe how proud I am of this district and the community that we are in. Because it's without question, what do we need to do to support our students? What do we need to do to support our families? And how can the entire community step in and do that? So as a leader, right, it's first, like, in that moment with that first phone call is who needs to know now with a personal phone call. And I believe strongly, like, any teacher who sees that student in their classroom every single day on a regular basis deserves a personal phone call. And then it's, no messaging goes out without clear communication and permission with the family, and recognizing that they're in the deepest mourning that they will ever face. And we're just there to support them and to help in any way that we can. And it's just finding the balance of, like, that feeling of the world is supposed to stop when something like this happens, but it doesn't. And so you have to find the right way and the right time to continue moving forward, while also making sure that everybody feels all of the support and the love that they deserve to feel when you're going through something like this. And everybody grieves differently, so that you don't know what to say to everyone. But part of that is knowing that everybody in the situation is just trying to do our absolute best to support everybody else through it.
So many of us travel through life with expectations and what we feel is just normal day-to-day stuff. We take so much for granted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
We take time, which is the greatest gift, probably more than anything, for granted. We assume that this person or that person is going to be around forever, especially if they're young. Hmm. We don't necessarily know, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, what's crawling around inside the heads of all of us.
Right.
especially young adults and teenagers, and as if as if they didn't have to carry enough weight with just what's going on in our society, what's going on with our world, what's going on with our culture. And then they throw in their personal stuff, their stuff at home, or their stuff at school. Um, there's a lot of people walking around with smiles on their faces who are feeling some real pain inside. And I think with Sweethearts and Heroes, and I know I'm not even scratching the surface here with them, but when they come into a school, and I think your staff, from what I hear from Tom, echoes this, is that the message that you put out to so many kids is that no matter what you're dealing with, no matter how unique your circumstances are, no matter how heavy the weight is that you're carrying, no matter what it is, there is hope that things will turn around, will improve, will get better. And it may not happen overnight, but by God, you're worth it. We need you here in our school. We need you alive. We need you on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our theme last year, the opening day kickoff, our theme was hope. And the quote that hung on the posters throughout the entire building on every person's door was, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and a good thing never dies, right? It's the quote from Shawshank Redemption. And in that was the conversation that when you are all in, you are giving hope to the people that you are all in for. And so we had these, everybody they looked like poker chips. And on one side had our school logo and the other side said all in. And first everybody got their all in chip for themselves. Like, be all in. When you come into something, be all in. And then they got a little bag with 3 of them, 3 other chips. And throughout the year, it was to give to people. If you recognize that they were struggling, you gave them that chip to say, like, I'm all in for you. Or if you noticed that they went above and beyond, you gave them a chip to thank them for being all in. And it was a pretty powerful connection that happened amongst people in the district, or when the chips would show up for people, what you would see that do to someone. Like, hey, I'm recognized, right? Like, people see what I'm going through. And so then that kind of fed into this year's theme, which is power and unity, power in moments. And it's knowing the importance of every single moment you're in and the strength and the unity in our group. And with that, everyone got a bundle of sticks. We said that if you take out one stick and you bend it, it can break. But when you put your whole entire bundle together and you try to break that, you can't break that. So remember that in any situation that you have your entire bundle with you, and we're here for you, and don't pull yourself away from your bundle of sticks, because
my gosh,
that's where your strength is.
So powerful. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this and ask you about it. And there's a big story that's going on right now nationally, and it's garnering a massive amount of attention. Tamia Woods testified in front of Congress yesterday about the desperate need to protect our children at all costs, and the dangers of social media. And it's one of the new, for lack of a better term, buzzwords that's going on right now. And it's social media sextortion. A 17-year-old young man by the name of James Wood just took his life. And and his mom is doing everything in her power to try to rattle some cages and say, we need to do more. Just putting a restriction, an age restriction on social media accounts, and I know there's all kinds of talk this morning about what they're doing in Australia, but just simply putting an age restriction on social media is not enough. We need to do a better job at parenting, paying attention to our kids. We need to do a better job as school teachers, paying attention and promote the message of please don't get wrapped up, tangled up in this mess. Please don't take photos that are inappropriate, no matter who you're sending them to, where they're going, who you trust. The internet is never to be trusted. And we as your parents, we as your teachers, we as adults are not going to be able to protect you as much as we would like to. You need to protect yourself. You need to have the knowledge. You need to know, even if you're young, how dangerous this stuff is. And you need to watch out for yourself and make sure this doesn't happen to you. And man, oh man, is this an uncomfortable conversation. And at some point, I'm going to have this with my 11-year-old little girl. But I'm guessing that your staff is aware of this dark side of the world, man, that's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I try to be very mindful and careful of the messaging around that because, like I said earlier, I wholeheartedly believe everybody's doing the best they can. Parents and teachers and staff, right? So it's very hard when we say but we need you to do a little bit better, or we need you to do a little bit more, because you get that feeling of man, I'm just not doing enough. How much more can I do? Right.
Yeah.
And so in that too, though, is this importance, I think, because it's true. You can say all day long, don't send those pictures, don't engage in those messages, don't do this, don't do that. Someone's going to.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, right? Yeah. The more important part of that message is that when you do, it's okay. I can help you. I'm not going to get on you about the fact that I told you not to do it.
Right.
I'm going to help you get through the fact that you did do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to emphasize more is this is happening. Kids are taking their own lives because they're I'm terrified to tell someone that I did what I shouldn't have done.
Because they've lost hope.
They've lost hope. What's that?
They've lost hope.
Yeah. Or I'm terrified of what might happen if this gets out, right? What they need is that trusted adult, that ally, that person that they can go to and say, I'm mortified. I'm embarrassed. I don't ever want to step outside of this room because of what I chose to do. And they need that person to say, I'll walk out of the room with you.
Sure.
It's okay that you did that, right? Now let's figure out how to get through it. You as a human being and as a person matter so much more than that decision or that mistake that you made. And I can't take away the embarrassment and shame that you feel from that, but you'll grow from that and I'll help you do that. You'll do better next time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll be the person to help you do that. I'm not going to be the person that shames you for doing what you did. That's what I feel people need more of is this non-judgmental, truly, I am showing up for you as you are, as I am, to help you. And I would hope you do the same for me.
Without judgment.
Without judgment. Yes. Who am I to say the decision you made was poor, right? And same with, right, people call it the Monday morning quarterback, right? Well, if I were a parent, I wouldn't let them have that. Well, if I were a teacher, that wouldn't happen in my classroom. Got it. But it's happening, right? And the thing with social media too, if you follow our school district on Facebook or follow Dr. Ralston on Facebook, I am very big in like, you tell your story. And if you're not telling your story, someone else is. And so social media is a thing. And so, you know what we're using Instagram and Facebook for is to tell our story. And the Black Knight story is a really, really awesome story.
Where do we get
And
that?
so you can go to Silver Creek Central School District on Facebook or Dr. Ralston on Facebook. And we tell stories on it every day. Hashtag BKP, hashtag SC Cares, hashtag every day, because we want our students here every day. That's our attendance initiative. And you choose to share the good. And it's not because negative isn't happening. It's not because we're not facing challenges every day. But you have to George Curro says this quote, let the positives be so loud that the negatives become almost impossible to hear. And we have to help our students build that own story so that when one negative thing comes, it's like, holy cow, that's loud, but this is louder. Holy cow, that's hard, but this is better. But we have to set up those structures. We can't just focus on don't do it, don't be there, don't use it. Right now it's there. And how are we helping them use it in a positive manner? So actually, that's today, one of the things I was doing it right before I came on here. It's the most awesome thing. You'll see pictures of it later. You'll see the reel when it's done. Right now in our hallways, we have a tripod set up with a camera. We have a microphone set up. The prompt on it says, tell us something good that recently happened to you. And the stories coming through it are amazing. We'll make a video to share out all the good that's happening to the people in our school. And it's cool because it allows students to pause for 20 seconds and share what's good. And also, when I watch the video, I'm going to have 25 things to go ask someone about what they're going through. And it's using it in a positive and, powerful way.
I'm going to be watching for that. You've given me some homework. I'm going to be watching. I want to see those reels. I want to see this stuff that is absolutely fantastic. Listen, your time is so valuable. It is such a gift to us this morning. Your conversation with us has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. It was a huge honor to be here. So thanks for inviting me. I hope to come back sometime.
I would be so blessed to have you. You've given us some huge takeaways. One of them for me is hearing you say, no matter what you've done, no matter what your mistake is, your life is worth so much more. I know I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but man, that is something that we've got to carry forward as adults, as teachers, as parents, as friends of other kids our same age. That's it right there. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Can't thank you.
So your other homework is to get in the habit of sharing something good that happened to you recently. Too often people are like, oh, I lost my car keys. I locked myself out of my car. I spilled my coffee. But what's something good that happened to you recently? Make it common to share that.
Absolutely. It's a great time of year to do that, but it's always always a great time of year to do that. Thank you, Doctor, so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yes. I hope to meet you someday.
Absolutely. I would love to. I'll hug you if I see you.
Hugging you right back. Thanks so much, Doctor. Appreciate you.
Wow. All right. Have a great day.
What a conversation this morning. And I can't thank Tom enough, Tom Murphy over at Sweethearts and Heroes, for saying to me, like he does, dude, you need to get this person on the air. I'm telling you right now. He knows. He really does. This is the kind of good that I just love bringing onto my platform. Thanks for catching the Air It Out podcast. Listen, share this one. Give it a like. Give it a share. Post a comment. I don't care whether you're watching this tonight, later today during your lunch break, or whether you are with us live right now. You still have time. Give a thumbs up. Give a heart. Give a comment. And click share right now and get this into the ears, into the eyes of anyone that you think could use it. God bless Dr. Katie Ralston. God bless Sweethearts and Heroes for the amazing yeoman's work that they're doing. They're kicking ass. Flat out. And I can't wait to see one of these presentations they're doing. Don't forget now, this coming Monday, the 15th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Rick Yarish from Sweethearts and Heroes is going to be where now? Cody Chevrolet on the Barry Montpelier Road with his book, A Bridge Named Amos. He'll be there signing it. Grab some pictures. It's going to be a good time. I'll be there as well. Can't wait. Monday, this coming Monday, the 15th, 3 p.m., Cody Chevrolet with Rick Yarish from Sweethearts and Heroes. You've seen him on the air. You've heard him on the air. Here on Aired Out. Big dog. Possibly bigger than Tom. Just saying. Love, thanks. Over and out for now. Be careful driving today if you're out. Okay? We're watching it 3 to 5. Maybe some rain coming into the mix. Temperature's going to be on the rise here over the next 24 to 48. We'll watch it carefully, but just be careful on the roads. All right? Catch you tomorrow. G, we're going to be setting this place on fire tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, right here where you are now. Aired Out.